Hey everybody, welcome back into the WSAZ Now studio. I am Joseph Payton. This is WSAZ Sports Plus. Full disclosure, I am by myself today. No Jimmy Tracy, no Keith Morehouse. Those two are on assignment shooting a really cool story, Marshall football related, down in Alabama this week. So they are super busy. I'm also anchoring sports this week, so we have a heck of a lot going on. College basketball has started. You've got college football still, high school football still, and of course plenty of other sports as well. So super busy week. Wanted to make sure we got you a Sports Plus episode out there though. The other thing you're probably wondering is why it might look a little different or sound a little different. We've got some maintenance happening up here in the WSAZ Now studio. So I'm actually sitting where Keith and Jimmy usually sit. I'm usually across the table where the kind of the headquarters is for the WSAZ Now studio. But I'm over here. We're shooting it on a different camera, different microphone. So if it looks different, that's why. If it sounds different, that's why. But with all that said, that's just kind of some housekeeping stuff. You see the papers, you hear the paper pop. That means we've got some high school football to talk about. So what we're going to do, kind of give you a recap of what we saw on Football Friday night last week, and then we're going to get into all of the matchups that we have this Friday. So kind of a condensed version of what you see Jimmy Tracy and I do each and every week, but maybe not near as in-depth as it usually is. Of course, we've got the last week of the regular season in West Virginia, so that's a big deal. You've got teams jockeying for playoff position, and other teams kind of know they're in, but maybe it's playoff seeding that they're certainly fighting for. And then in Ohio, we're in the second round of the playoffs. So those teams with first-round byes, they sat out last week. They're back in action. All the winners last week move on to play those teams. So that's going to be fun. In Kentucky, first round of the playoffs. So again, plenty to talk about. Let's get into it. Let me catch my breath here. That was a lot to get out before we started this show. And again, I'm by myself, so I feel like a crazy person up here just kind of talking to me and, pretending that you're on the other side of this camera, because I know that you are. All right, let's talk about this stuff. Last week, our game of the week, for good reason, two undefeated teams down in southern West Virginia. You had Chapmanville Regional beating Mingo Central 46-0. The Tigers are 9-0. Yeah, they've got some big dreams, big aspirations. They want to make a deep run and hopefully end up in Charleston come, first week of December. Heck of a win for the Chapmanville Regional Tigers. Cabell, Midland, and Huntington, the battle for the Shield. Huntington retains the Shield. They win 42-0. Look, Huntington's one of the best teams in the state of West Virginia. They might be the best team in the state of West Virginia. They have a very real shot of going up there and winning Quad A in Charleston once it comes down to it. So 42-0, the Highlanders win. Nitro beats Capital 22-20. Wildcats are now 8-1. Heck of a win for Nitro beating Capital. How about Herbert Hoover playing some good football? They beat Parkersburg 47-14. That improves their 2025 record to 7-2 for the year. Go across the river into Ohio. I know we're going to be kind of jumping around here as we talk about some of these scores. Morgan, the 9 seed, comes into Coal Grove and beats Coal Grove 43-22. Coal Grove was the 8 seed. That means the Hornets finished the year 8-3. This was a heck of a senior class, one that I'm going to certainly miss covering. I feel like we talked about them from preseason on through now. I do hate to see the season for Coal Grove come to an end, but Morgan's got a good ball club. This means that Morgan, again, upsetting the 8 seed. You can call it an upset, I guess. An 8-9 game, really anything can happen. Those are matchup, kind of toss-up games. Morgan now plays top-seeded Wheelersburg, a team that many people believe could win Division V over in Ohio. So congrats to Morgan. How about Rock Hill winning a playoff game? They beat Dayton Christian 46-27. Up next for them, Northeastern. I believe that's a team up in the Springfield, Ohio area. Big win for Rock Hill. They kind of backed into the playoffs. They thought they were going to have a chance to win an OVC championship, lost their last 3 games, and just really hadn't been playing up to their capabilities. So for them to reel it back in at home against Dayton Christian, advance into the playoffs, that's big for the Redmen. Portsmouth, the 5 seed, beats Amanda Clear Creek, who was the 12, 32-13. How about the Trojans? They've kind of got hot down the stretch as well. I know they did lose that game to Ironton, and Ironton had to forfeit, so Portsmouth did get the playoff points. But, yeah, Portsmouth kind of out of nowhere, hitting the playoffs, winning their first game. They go to Barnesville now. Barnesville seemingly does really, really well in the regular season. Then you get to the playoffs, and you're not sure exactly who you're going to get. So Portsmouth and Barnesville this Friday. We'll talk a little bit about that later. Winfield beats Riverside 42-28. Heck of a win for the Generals. Zane Trace comes up to Lucasville Valley and wins 48-0. It's a heck of a year for the Valley Indians, but Zane Trace brings it to a close. The Pioneers now play Columbus Academy. That's in Division 5, Region 19. Trimble upsets South Gallia 28-22. The Rebels were just coming off a big Week 10 victory over Sims Valley, and guess what? All they had to do was beat 12-seed Trimble. They'd be going up to Willowwood to see Sims Valley for the second time in 3 weeks, but Trimble had other plans. The Tomcats, when you get to this point in the year, playoff Tomcats, yeah, they're a force to be reckoned with. Maybe that 12 seed was a little misleading. Congrats to the Trimble Tomcats. They're off to play Sims Valley this week in the second round. Wahama beats Gilmer County 68-6. Look, folks, Wahama, they may well go back-to-back in single A in West Virginia. That's a good ball club there, super talented. Lawrence County, my goodness, they finished the regular season 9-1, one of the best teams they've had ever, one of. I know there's other teams that certainly have an argument. They beat Boyd County 40-28. They've got a heck of a group there, the Bulldogs, and they're looking to make a deep run in the playoffs as well. And finally, Martin County, who's had a heck of a year as well, they beat Paintsville 41-28. All right, so we're going to move on to all three states and really all the matchups that are happening kind of within local interest here. We'll start with West Virginia. Braxton County is at Clay County. Buffalo travels to Pikeview. Cabell Midland goes to Parkersburg South. Capital goes to Riverside, and Chapmanville Regional hosts St. Albans. How about Beckley coming up to GW? You also have Weir coming up to Herbert Hoover. Huntington on the road up at Wheeling. They play Lindsley. Hurricane goes to Martinsburg. That's a long trip, especially Week 10 to play a good Martinsburg team. Lincoln County plays Midland Trail. Lincoln County beat Midland Trail this very same week last year. Logan goes to Westside. Not a far trip for them. Mann is at Wahama. Mingo Central hosts Doddridge County. Nicholas County hosts Ripley. And Nitro hosts Greenbrier East. We'll also be at Nitro on Friday morning for Fired Up Friday. Wildcats playing some good football these days. Oak Hill hosts North Marion. Sherman hosts Poca. Winfield hosts Point Pleasant. South Harrison goes to Ravenswood. Roane County is at Tyler Consolidated. Wayne travels to Sissonville, and Tulsa goes to Riverview. Let's turn the page over to Ohio now. Remember, these are second-round playoff games, so you could call it a regional quarterfinal if you wanted to. Start in Division III. Jackson, who sat out last week as a top 4 seed, they host Miami Trace. They just beat Miami Trace a couple weeks ago towards the end of the regular season. That's a good Miami Trace ball club, and they certainly know how good Jackson is. Let's go to Division V. We talked about it a little bit earlier. Number 1, Wheelersburg hosts number 9, Morgan, who just beat Colegrove at Colegrove. Morgan's a good ball club now. Wheelersburg, of course, with dreams and aspirations of winning the whole daggone thing. Morgan's going to be a tough out. Barnesville, the 4 seed, hosts number 5, Portsmouth. That should be fun. Go over to Division 6 now. Number 1 seed, Tri-Village, hosts Coach G's boys, the number 9 seed, Portsmouth West Senators. How about Northeastern, the 2 seed, hosting number 7, Rock Hill. It's going to be a tough matchup for the Redmen up that way. In Division 7, the 4 seed, Sims Valley, plays number 12, Trimble, who we mentioned just beat South Gallia. Heck of a win for the Tomcats. I've been telling Jimmy, hey, send me out to Willowwood. I want to see the Sims Valley Vikings play Trimble. Haven't seen Sims Valley all year. We've talked about them. We know they're a fun ball club. I said, get me out there. So hopefully to see you folks out in Willowwood on Friday night. 4 seed Eastern Pike, of course, just like Sims Valley as a top 4 seed, they were sitting out last week awaiting their opponent. They play 12 seed Fort Recovery. I told you on last week's show, that 12 seed Fort Recovery could very well make a little bit of a run in these playoffs. That's going to be a tough game for Eastern. Eastern certainly capable of beating them, but that is not a 12 seed that you look at and think, oh my goodness gracious, we're going to roll over them. That is certainly not the case. And finally, we'll go to Kentucky here. We're talking about the KHSAA playoffs. First round matchups. Betsy Lane is at Martin County. Boyd County travels up to Covington Catholic. Carroll County comes down this way to Russell. East Ridge is at Prestonsburg. Fairview plays the defending state champ, Sayre Spartans. Greenup County is at Highlands. Johnson Central hosts Harrison County. That Johnson Central team, my goodness, they're another one that hopes to make a deep run in the playoffs. East Carter hosts Henry County. Belfry against Leslie County. Pikeville at home against Lynn Camp. Mason County comes to Ashland. McCreary Central is at Lawrence County. Paintsville's at Williamsburg. And West Carter travels to Bracken County. I know that was a short, kind of condensed episode. We'll certainly have plenty of highlights on Football Friday night this week. I know with Keith and Jimmy down in Alabama this week, I'm not 100% sure what games we will be covering. I'm not even sure what our game of the week is just yet, but I know that Jimmy and Keith will be thinking in their brains who that might be. Wanted to give plenty of props to everyone last week who went to their high school football games dressed in Halloween costumes. That was awesome. I was up at Rock Hill and Coal Grove. The whole Coal Grove band was dressed up. The student section at Rock Hill certainly had all kinds of crazy characters in there with face paint and all sorts of things. And then coming back here to watch Football Friday night and kind of take in the show, I feel like every highlight had somebody dressed up as something in it. So way to have a good time. I know that you weren't doing that just to make Jimmy Tracy happy, but we certainly appreciate it. It added some color to our show, and glad to see you all having a good time. So we will see you next Tuesday, same time, same place at 9 p.m. Hopefully we have everything figured out. Hopefully Jimmy joins me. I believe that is on schedule for Jimmy to be here and join me on this program, and hopefully the maintenance situation's figured out and we won't have to shoot it from this angle and with this equipment. So hopefully everything looked okay, sounded okay. Appreciate you joining us on this shortened, condensed episode of WSAZ Sports Plus. Remember to go follow us on social media at WSAZ Sports Plus. Follow the YouTube channel, subscribe to the YouTube channel, whatever the term is for that. Trust me, I'm not that old. I do know it's subscribe, but I said follow on accident to start. And then, of course, go subscribe on podcast platforms as well. That would be excellent for us. So, again, we'll see you same time, same place next Tuesday, 9 p.m. right up here in the WSAZ Now studio. I'm Joseph Payton. This has been WSAZ Sports Plus.